Hello, good afternoon. This is the Licence Subcommittee for Tuesday the 24th of July 2018 at 2 o'clock. I'll start with my Chairman's announcements first. Welcome to everybody here. And we've got some members in the audience as well. And on people watching live now on YouTube. Apologies, it's slightly later because we had a few technical hitches. Some housekeeping first of all. I'm not expecting any fire alarm drills. If it goes off, it's the real thing. You exit the way you came in or to my right. Officers will lead the way, I imagine, and we meet outside the Slug and Lettuce, which is appropriate for a licensing committee. Mobile phones. Let me check my own as well. Yeah, switch it off or put it on silent. We do sometimes, especially my councillor colleagues. Right, like I said, we're streaming live on YouTube. The only people that will be heard and seen are the ones sitting at the desk. You will be seen but not heard unless you toggle on and toggle off on your speakers here. It's one person at a time speaking, so once you've finished speaking, if you could toggle off and toggle back on again. Right, before moving on to the agenda, let me introduce myself. I'm Councillor Roy Chamdell. I'm the chairman of the committee. I have other councillors here making decisions. We have Councillor Lynn Allen and we have Councillor Branstead. Also to assist me, I've got my legal advisor, Mrs. Sony, who's making sure that the decisions we make are just and correct. In addition, we've got from Democratic Services, Elizabeth Penny, who's taking minutes of today's meetings and ensure I follow procedure. I will get a slap on the wrist. We have other officers here, so if you could introduce yourself, sir.
Stephen Dormer, Licensing Officer, Hillingdon Borough Council.
And I understand we've got a petitioner here. If you'd like to introduce yourself, sir, because this is a meeting in public, not a public meeting, so the rights to speak are pretty stringent. So,
yeah, okay. I'm the lead petitioner, Sean Walker, and I'm a resident of Briarwood Drive.
Thank you, sir. Most welcome. And we have the representative, sir.
Good afternoon, all. My name is Siva Shankar from a company, Compliance Direct Limited. I've been instructed by William Jolle Limited to act on their behalf, sir.
Thank you very much. Right, where we go. Right, for the agenda now. Apologies for absence.
No apologies, Chairman.
Thank you. Members, any declarations of interest? No interest from the members, okay. Matters that have been notified in advance are urgent?
None today.
And again, finally, addendum. We have an addendum sheet. Has everybody got an addendum sheet? Is that? Yeah, that's it. Lovely. Okay, right, we move on to introduction from the regulatory authority. Mr. Dormer.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Chairman. You all have the report bundle and are familiar with the salient points of the application. May I take this opportunity to provide a verbal summary of the application and assist the subcommittee to determine the outcome of this particular application. The application is for a premises licence, initially to sell alcohol and provide regulated entertainment to its patrons. Following an intervention from the Metropolitan Police within the 28-day consultation period, the applicant was amended crucial parts of the application, one being the removal of regulated entertainment, which is entertainment that occurs at the premises beyond 2300 hours. A list of conditions were agreed with the police. The conditions more than satisfied the police's representation, and the licence holder was happy to adhere to those conditions, and subsequently the application was settled with the responsible authorities at that stage. The applicant has also stated that the premises would be marketed as a retro style, gastro style pub. The petition, which was then submitted just on the within the 28 days from Mr. Walker as the lead petitioner, he managed to get signatures as far as Pinner and Ruislip, which we couldn't actually fit on the addendum map, which was produced should be on your tables. The applicant has addressed the concerns and to the point where as I said, the application was changed in terms of regulated entertainment, and some of the hours were also changed from the initial application. Not included in the bundle or in the addendum pack, it's worth noting that Sahib's restaurant at number 22, the Broadway on Jolle Street, has a very similar licence to what has now been applied for by William Jolle with the amendments included, which is the sale of alcohol and regulated entertainment is 11 till 1 on a Friday and Saturday at the Sahib restaurant. However, as mentioned earlier in the script here, the regulated entertainment at the William Jolle is now no longer going to be in existence. The licence sought by, as I said, sought by the applicant is something that's not uncommon to the Northwood Hills area, as just previously mentioned about the restaurant on number 22. And this is the best example I can give of consistency in terms of the applications that we've already granted in that area, and my recommendation remains unaltered from the recommendation in the published bundle.
Thank you, Mr. Duma. Points of clarification. Yeah. Page 6. If you just push on to page 6. Point 3 on the prevention of crime and disorder. It says the venue should consider use of doors like during busier periods. Do we know what these periods are?
This was included in the initial application that was submitted on the behalf by Compliance Direct on the behalf of William Jolle Limited, and because now that the application has now altered from its initial application that we received based on the police representation, that condition would no longer be required for a door supervisor.
Thank you. It was more a question on how they could expand on the word busier periods, because I don't understand what that is, but I'm sure we'll move on since you said it's the agent or the representative. What are the times? The times have now changed. Could you just expand on that? So what are the new times they're actually offering? Okay,
in Appendix 2, which is page 29 of the published bundle, Monday, the sale of alcohol is 9 till midnight, and that remains consistent up until Thursday. And then Friday, it's 0900 hours to 0100 hours on Friday and Saturday, and 0900 to midnight on the Sunday. They will be offering late night refreshment from 11 till 12:30 Monday till Thursday, and from 11 till 1:30 on Friday and Saturday, and Sunday 11 till 12:30. The opening hours are 0800 to 12:30 Monday to Thursday, and then they remain open till 1:30 on a Friday and Saturday, and they are going to be closed at 30 minutes past midnight on the Sunday.
So just to get absolutely clear in my head, so they're removing the need for late night, not late night refreshments, late night entertainment. So there's going to be no performance of dance or recorded music, is that correct?
That's correct.
Councillors, Councillor Allen.
The times you're given for Friday and Saturday, do they include the 30 minutes drinking up time?
Yeah, the alcohol was being ceased at 1 o'clock, and then obviously at 1:30 the premises will be closed, so that will give them 30 minutes to finish what they've bought, and then obviously exit the premises. That's correct, on the Friday and Saturday.
Thank you.
No other questions? Okay. It'd be Mr. Shivasankar, is it?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. I don't want to sort of elaborate. I mean, there's quite a bit of stuff has been already been pointed out by the licensing officer, which I am grateful for. So the application initially started somewhat slightly different, even though the main theme was always has to going to be a food-led.
I'm sorry to interrupt. If you speak a bit more slowly, I'm not picking up anything. I apologise for interrupting. I want you to continue.
Apologies. So the initial application.
Sorry, if you put the speakers just slightly near your face, I think you'll find you'll pick up your voice a bit.
Sorry, sir. Thank you. Right. So the initial application is attached to from page 9 on, and the timings are we had slightly longer hours for weekdays and for Fridays, Saturdays. And further to the police's representation, I think it is important to look at the police's representation, which is attached on page 31 for the original application that we before amendments. The police didn't object to the timings, but the police wanted certain conditions attached because of the lateness on Fridays and Saturdays. And when we looked at this application with the client, and he wanted certain of these conditions. He didn't want to have them because they cost money, and he thought that the best way to sort of deal with some of these conditions, obviously they have come because of the lateness of the premises. We wanted to bring back the hours to a level that the police will be happy to able to sort of remove those conditions for us, and that's exactly what we have done. To be honest with you, Chair, we actually have on weekdays, we have actually taken the hours even shorter than what J.D. Weatherspoon, the previous premises, used to operate. The previous premises used to operate from Sunday to Thursday, sale of alcohol till midnight, 30 hours, and they used to close at 1 o'clock. Now we are stopping sale of alcohol at midnight. And
sorry, Mr. Shivsankar, the representation is for the application that's before us. Referring to other previous establishments, I can understand that where you're coming from, but I really want to hear about your application, sir. Thank you.
Indeed, sir. Thank you very much. Yeah. So our current application stands as it is on Appendix 2, which has been gone through by the licensing officer, but just for clarity, I might as well cover them again. So Sunday to Thursday, we want to stop alcohol at midnight.
And sorry, appendix on what page? Just with a lot of paperwork here. If you just tell us what page you're on.
So the sale of alcohol on Sunday to Thursday is between 9 o'clock in the morning till midnight. And on Fridays and Saturdays on Fridays and Saturdays from 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock the next morning. And there's a half an hour drinking up time. And we have applied for late night refreshment during that half an hour to cover. The reason being is if somebody wants to have a cup of coffee after alcohol is finished, and we will need late night refreshment license to cover that part. Hence, that has been there until the premises is fully closed. So people can actually order a hot drink once the alcohol sale is completed before they leave, should they wish. And that's the rationale of having the late night refreshment matching up with the close of opening hours, closing hour. The only other slight difference, I would say, on page 29 is where on the proposed conditions agreed under that line, the number 1 condition, that is now has been changed further to our amendments and the police's approval. So if you look at probably the addendum that is being provided to us, sorry, so I don't have. Oh yes, the page number. It could be the page numbers. The police's witness statement on that. I think it's the last pages. I think. And if you go to the very last page, the penultimate paragraph where the police say they are happy to leave that condition as those supervisors according to busy periods. I mean, we can word that better. The wording there is reasonably okay, but if you want that change, we are more than happy to sort of have a look at that. And you did, I might as well tackle what is a busy period now while I'm here. Obviously, it is not always Fridays and Saturdays are the busy period. Sometimes on a weekday, due to certain events, there may be certain bookings where the premises might be reasonably full. And those days also we are planning to have those supervisors to make sure that there is no public nuisance and safety of public is maintained. So those will be assessed as and when, depending on the bookings at the premises, and the manager will be able to sort of in advance program what is the booking levels are, and we'll be able to make sure that there are those supervisors organized for those days. And that is how that's been left like that. I mean, if Fridays and Saturdays happen to become a normal busy day, then you would expect those supervisors to be there whenever they are. So that's how we have actually worded it, and we are very grateful for the police for accepting that wording and agreeing with us. Apart from that, we have agreed for the CCTV condition. So the police wanted a CCTV in a particular condition, which we have agreed with them. And also the rest of the condition on page 30 on that. So condition 2 or 3 and the rest of the conditions in page 30 are all agreed with the police as they are. And that is our current application as it stands, sir. If I may slightly touch upon the representation from the residents, or the petition from the residents, which is on page 33 on the agenda pack. I mean, one of the requirements on this petition is that they want a traditional community-based public house. Now, I'm not very sure whether the Licensing Act, that is a relevant consideration for the panel today, whether this pub has to be a community premises, or it is it got planning permission for pub use, and that's what we are promoting. That's what we are exactly applying for a premises license to operate those activities. And the other matter that is raised in this petition is there is nuisance, and there is traffic and other issues. Parking hasn't been mentioned, but it has been mentioned outside. Sorry, apologies. And as you know, sir, parking is not a matter for this committee, and problems already exist are more relevant to a premises place where there is cumulative impact assessment is introduced by the council. That is, of course, we need to take into account what the problems are and deal with those. It's our responsibility as an operator. But in this representation, those are some of these matters are for areas where there is a cumulative impact zone. I was overhearing there are issues regarding waste disposal of the premises before this meeting was started. And I also overheard some of the conversation between your legal officer and the residents. There are one of the things that people generally complain, because I know there are some residents who have their gardens or their bedrooms maybe facing the rear of the premises. And we are more than happy to sort of offer a condition where at the last time that we are going to empty the empty bottles, I mean, they are the ones that causes most nuisance to public or local residents, and we are happy to take a condition that after a certain time that we will not empty those empty bottles until the next morning. General food waste removal doesn't actually cause that much of a problem. It is the empty bottles getting tipped into a bin that can actually cause a problem, and we certainly recognize that, and we are more than happy to sort of take that as a timeline appropriate. Unless otherwise you have any further questions at the moment, so I finish there.
Thank you, Mr. Shankar. I do have a few questions. From your initial application, you say now it's going to be a gastropub. And Googling it up earlier today, what is a gastropub? It means serving food. Is that what you will be doing now?
I mean, it's definitely...
That's a yes or no answer, sir.
Well, it is definitely we are going to serve food, and that's going to be
fine.
That's going to be good.
So you're serving food. That's good. Okay, because in your initial application, you had down dance. So, what kind of dance were you proposing to have previously?
The previous application, I mean, it is likely that we may be coming to the council with certain temporary event notices to provide certain events on the day. And we were trying to avoid coming with the temporary event notices again and again to the council. And one of the reasons why we sought those hours and the entertainment at the time. But now that after speaking to the police, we think it's probably better to come to the council with temporary event notices, and they can make assessment individually every time when we want to provide an event. And that's probably the time that we would be expecting to have other regulated entertainments, sir.
Yeah, the question was, what kind of dance were you expecting to have, sir?
It's probably a disco or some kind of celebrations where there might be a disco and people may be having some dancing.
Thank you, sir. On page 21, section 16. Are you proposing any gambling machines to be in your property?
No, sir.
If you move on to page 23 now.
Yes, sir.
Well, call me councillor or chairman, so it's not necessary. On section B, differential of crime and disorder, you put down here security staff. Could you expand on that? What do you mean by security staff? Is that sort of friends, neighbours, or somebody? I don't know what that security staff means. Under the Licensing Act, for Chairman, security services can only be carried out by people who are registered with the Security Industry Authority, SIA registered. So these are people who are trained in security by the SIA to do door management, and they have to be employed. So this is definitely SIA registered. We will be legal to have anybody else, sir. The reason why I ask that, because it doesn't say that. It says security staff. And I understand, as you will, unless you've got an exemption under Section 4 of the Private Securities Industrial Act 2001, you would have to employ somebody who's SIA. So they are definitely SIA, yeah? All security personnel will be SIA registered. So that's a yes. Yes, yeah. Thank you. On public safety, you've put down the staff will be trained in public safety good practices. Could you expand on that, please, sir, and what they are? The William Jolle Company have contracts with environmental consultants who provide training on health and safety measures, noise reduction measures, and general good housekeeping, food hygiene, safety issues. So all the staff are mandatorily expected to go through this training in providing general housekeeping to health and safety of public, fire safety issues, and this is all encompassing those trainings. And will this training be carried out? Sorry, Councillor Allen, I've got a few points. Just got to hold off. I know you've got loads of points, much the same as mine. So, will the staff be trained prior to employment or during employment? We can. I mean, most of the. If we are using any existing staff who already have the training qualification, we don't have a problem. Otherwise, if we employ new staff, then we have to train them within the first 2 months or something. We have to get a policy on that from the premises. So you will employ new staff who've not been trained on public safety good practices. So they'll be working in your. Let me finish. They'll be working in your business, but they wouldn't have been trained by your external contracts with some environmental company. I just want to know if I understand you clearly, and that's what it is. That's what it is, sir, and they will be supervised by trained staff. Right, we move on to, obviously, you haven't put down, you did mention it, which is good, about emptying of bottles, and that is a key criteria. Obviously, yes, that would be conditioned. This forecourt for smokers, could you just take me through? We have a plan on the addendum sheet, and I understand the red line for everybody. That's on attachment number 2 on your addendum sheet. Unfortunately, it doesn't. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, the second page. Yeah. Although it's not in colour, you can see the broaded, highlighted lines. So could you just take me through your process in terms of this smoking porch or terrace?
So the terrace use, we have said that we will allow people to, depending on the weather permitted, obviously, allow people to sit outside and either consume their alcohol or have a snacks or whatever until 11 o'clock. And at 11 o'clock in the evening, every day from Monday to Sunday, at 11 o'clock the outside terrace will be closed, evacuated from normal customers, apart from people who want to have a smoke, who can come outside and have a smoke, and they will be controlled by, if we have those of staff on the days, that they will be supervised by them.
Right. Okay. So, yeah, just getting the legal point cleared. In terms of, so smokers will not be allowed there after 11, or can you clarify that? So what time will be smokers be allowed to smoke there? So obviously not drink or eat, but just smoke.
So after 11 o'clock, nobody can bring any drink outside. Only smokers can come out and they can have a smoke and go back in.
Okay, so there's nothing there to say how you will sort of manage that in terms of noise, nuisance, any antisocial behaviour?
So obviously on the days that we have those supervisors, they will be at the doors and they will be able to look after them. But on the days that we are not very busy, smokers, we should be able to control with our normal bar staff and waiter staff.
Okay, points E on the same page. You've got a challenge 21. Now that is going to obviously change to challenge 25. I'll move on to councillors. Councillor Allen.
Got a number of questions. I'm still not clear whether you're talking about running a gastro or you're talking about a traditional pub. So that's one question. Numbers you're talking about, I'm asking, are you talking about hiring out for weddings and other forms of entertainment events? Door supervisors. What's going to be the numbers of people or patrons in your facility to decide how many door supervisors you'll need?
Thank you, Councillor. So regarding hiring of weddings and parties, obviously not for weddings as such, but for wedding receptions. If there are, one of the problems at the moment I'm unable to sort of give you a full answer is we actually haven't finished the internal layout diagram yet fully, and we may have to come back with a minor variation once that, provided if we are granted a license today to this plan.
I'm glad you added that.
We will have to come back with a minor variation once the final layout is actually been completed. So at the moment, we are currently going with what the current layout is from the previous premises. We are not changing. The license, the operators, we have to be careful of how we manage these premises, because if we change into a total restaurant, there is a possibility that the use class will change from A4 to A3, and currently it's a pub use, and so we have to run in a way as a pub with a food-led premises rather than a restaurant. So there will be a bar area where people will be able to come without taking any food, able to sort of have alcohol consumption, and there will be a bar area where they can sit and relax, and there will be an area for food where they can go and able to eat. We estimate currently, as I say, because of the layout hasn't been fully completed, we estimate there might be, we are looking at...
Sorry, someone says, no, please, if you could let me finish, yeah. This is a meeting in public, not a public meeting, yeah. We have an agenda and it's clearly to follow, we have to follow that. Questions, is to be fair to everybody. Representation will be made. If there's any clarifications, members will ask for that clarifications. Everybody will say their piece, and then we move on to something which is called a discussion led by the subcommittee. That gives us the opportunity to ask the questions. Yep. You do have a lead petitioner there. He's the one who will be speaking on these points. Passing notes and everything else is not allowed to councillors, especially because we are making the decision. Yeah, and that's good. You know, right. No. You might. Well, the point is, that for the hearing to be fair and just, it has to follow procedure, and it's simple as that. So you will have an opportunity. So at the moment, please do not pass any papers to the councillors on one case whatsoever, because otherwise it's a just case that it's not a fair hearing, and then unfortunately that leads on to many other things. Yeah. Thank you. Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor. So we are estimating the capacity may be around 150 when we are fully furnished the place. And I would imagine that when we exceed 80, we will be looking to see those supervisors. So any day that if the operators think that they're going to have more than 80 number, then we will be engaging those supervisors.
Councillor Stead.
Thank you, Chairman. You mentioned a couple of times there about changes in the future. I take it the police will be involved when you make those changes?
Councillor, if the premises change hands and there is a transfer application where the police are able to comment, and if at any point we decide to include regulated entertainment, that is dancing, recorded music, or change the hours, then we will have to come for that. Is provided, I have to keep saying, provided we have a grant today, we will have to come back with a variation where the residents and the police will be able to make representations.
Thank you, Councillor Stead. In terms of taxis, how will you manage taxis or pick up for customer pickups?
So nowadays, most of people use phone apps to call their cabs, and the cabs, when they turn up, they actually text them to say that we are outside, their registration number is given, the driver name is given. There is no need for people to toot their horns anymore like before. So most of them will be through, we expect the customers, they will be calling them through their apps. And on top of that, we can have a minicab office number available and even a facility available for them to call. But it's very unlikely that they will be using them because everybody nowadays use phone applications to get their cabs.
I don't seem to see anything about any incident logs. Will you be keeping some incident logs regards nuisance, disturbance?
Those will be as part of the management structures and all those kinds of things, management documentation, they have standard documentation we carry. We haven't actually taken as a condition, but those are good practices and we'll be doing them anyway.
Going off the word good practices, I mean, would the number of your establishments be passed around to local residents, that should they have any concerns, they would be able to obviously call your establishment and you could do both record it and whatever actions you're taking?
We certainly can do that, sir. We will certainly do that because we want to make sure that there are no nuisances caused to any of the residents, and if inadvertently caused, that we would like to know them straight away. So, I mean, there will be a website will be coming up soon with telephone numbers to the premises, which residents will be able to access straight away. But if you do want us to inform them, we are happy to do a flyer out with certain numbers where they can contact the manager directly.
We're keen on businesses coming to Hillingdon and setting up and running responsible, but not at a cost of. You have to look at the cost, weigh out the cost. So it's good practice, as you said, to engage with local residents. It's part of the 182 as well, 8.46 and 8.47. It does encourage responsible owners into which to do that. Deliveries. Do you have a delivery schedule of when you're going to have these deliveries coming in and out of the premises?
We don't intend to have any deliveries after late hours, probably the latest, probably 6 o'clock in the evening. We are not expecting any early hours before the premises is open either. So our deliveries will be between those times, from the premises open at 8 o'clock in the morning and between 6 o'clock in the evening. We are not expecting outside hours.
So are you putting it part of your applications that deliveries will be between the hours of 8 a.m. to 6 p.m.?
If that warrants today, sir, and if you are minded to do that, we are happy with that.
I'm asking what your application is. So as a committee, we can then weigh up if that is acceptable or not acceptable. But so I really need it from you. When are these deliveries going to take place? Because the one thing that you don't want to have is you say 8 to 6 and then you get deliveries coming at 6 in the morning because the traffic is so hot, busy, or it comes at 9 o'clock at night. Then there's a scope then for residents, quite rightly, to say, you know, these are your operating times and you're operating outside this time. So I'm very clear that if you give us a time, and then we will consider that time.
It is not something that I have spoken to my client, is taken instruction on exact timings. All I have been told is, you know, all what we can tell you at the moment, sir, we are here to work responsibly and within reasonable times only we will have deliveries. And I cannot see any reason that we will want to get deliveries before the premises is open or late at evenings.
Okay. Mrs. Soni.
Councillors, I'm just clarifying exactly what the application is and conditions, so that when you consider it, all of the information is in front of you. Mr. Shankar, the timings as per Appendix 2 on page 29, is that correct? Right. Now, if you go to the timings on your original application itself, you are asking for additional timings for Christmas Day, etc. Are you still asking for those? So I'm looking at page 22.
They remain as requested, sir.
Okay, so on Christmas Day and Boxing Day, you are asking to trade until 2:30?
No, the timing is now, they will be same time as Friday, Saturday timings on the amended hours.
Your New Year's Eve timing is also going to be as per Friday and Saturday?
No, the New Year's time will be go right up to the next day.
The next morning at 800?
Yeah, you won't close.
Okay. Sundays prior to Bank Holiday and Easter Friday?
They will be as Friday and Saturday timings.
Okay. Now we go to the conditions. I'm just going to make a note if you don't mind. So we're removing regulated entertainment.
That's correct.
We're also removing the need for door supervisors, as in there's not going to be any door supervisors.
Well, not entirely. That is going to be changed as the police officer's statement, if I may.
Because the police officer's most recent letter is that she's happy for the requirement for, unless I've misunderstood it, she's happy for the requirement for door supervisors to be removed.
To be used during busy periods.
Busy periods. And for you, busy periods is when there's more than 80 people?
That is correct.
Okay. What sort of arrangement will there be? Because what happens if a big group comes in and suddenly you're 85, 87, 89? How is this door supervisor, how practical is this condition going to be in terms of enforcement?
It's a fair question. I mean, it's obviously the operators, these are experienced operators, and they know what to expect. And this condition is mainly, I mean, it is very likely we will end up having door supervisors on a Friday and Saturday. I mean, it's very likely it is going to be. On the other days, it's very likely we are not going to have up to capacities that we are looking at on the premises. But however, on those days, if at all we have a certain booking in advance, then we can plan that and we can override the door supervisors. And that's why we were looking for such a latitude in the condition.
Right. I mean, from your original application, it states there 2 security staff. Now, from your original application to now, after your conversations with the police, unfortunately the police are not here to explain it, what has changed that will, let me just finish there. What has changed in terms of going from you are experienced operators by what your last summation, you recognise that you need security staff, SIA staff, and now you've gone to the stage where you say you don't need them, but you're going to have them during busy periods. So the obvious question will be, what has changed dramatically in your makeup from your application? Secondly, what is your lead time for these SIA staff, which can be presented in evidence? So should you get a sudden rush, how long would it take for you to get SIA staff?
The matter that is changed, materially that is changed in the application is we have pulled back an hour on Friday nights and Saturday nights. Earlier we were closing at 2:30 and now we are closing at 1:30. When we were closing at 2:30 we offered 2 door supervisors, and now the police are happy with us for closing at 1:30 because 1 o'clock our licensable activities are finished and people will start to leave. And that's that is the main material change to the application, sir. On the lead time on security staff, I mean, as I say, these are experienced operators and they have more than one security firm in their books with the number of security staff, and they can get security within a day to be there. On the day, I wouldn't be, it won't be possible to just get somebody on the day to bring them in, but within a day that we'll be able to sort of manage those security staff.
Thank you for that. My concern on this is I still don't understand how you're going to move SIA staff to, for a second, we call it security staff because that's what in your application. So you're saying you're not, first of all, you need security staff, and then you're saying after representation with the police, having a chat with them, you're now saying no, then possibly going to have them if we're busy. You haven't told any sort of lead time, so when they would possibly turn up. I'm not in the industry, so I really don't know. But what time would you have originally had them starting when you had originally put your application in for Friday and Saturdays? What time would you have the security staff starting work and finishing?
They generally would have started around 11 o'clock, sir. So if it makes any comfort to the panel, we can take a condition on Friday and Saturday for 2 door security.
Could you just repeat that again once again, sir?
If that makes any comfort to the panel today, sir, we are happy to take 2 door SIA door security on a Friday and Saturday nights.
From 11 until close?
From 11 until close.
The concern I had was because in your beginning, when you first spoke, sir, you mentioned about saving money. Now, the committee here, we hear representation. Part of the license objective doesn't say anywhere that we have to put our judgment on making sure that the applicant saves money. Ours is to ensure that you promote the license objectives. Now, if it's saving money for not having staff there, then surely you open yourself up should there be crime and disorder. And I'll get BJL to explain a review, or how the review works. So that was slightly concerning because your opening summation was that it was to save money. Could you just clarify that point?
I certainly, sir. I mean, initially, as I said, till 2 o'clock we were going to have licensable activities and finish at 2:30, and that is the time that we have provided the security staff, and our clients are reasonably sure because of the type of operation in these premises.
Sorry, sir, I was just on the point that you said to save money. That was the point made. Okay, sorry.
So, and our clients are reasonably confident, are reasonably sure about looking at the application that they may not have people because of the type of operation till 2 o'clock in the premises and leaving at 2:30. So to have those supervisors when there are not enough clients, they felt it is not a financially viable proposition, and hence we decided to cut the hours down where that is reasonable, that we will have a reasonable amount of people in the premises to continue. And we were offered a condition to the police that can the operators make a judgment of when the security staff will be, and the police were happy with that, hence we went along with that. But if that, as I said again, if that's make any benefit to the panel today, then we are more than happy to put those security back on the Friday and Saturday.
Do you have any evidence-based data which suggests that between the hours of 12 and 1 and the hours between 1 and 2:30 there's more antisocial, there's purpose of crime and disorder? Because this is under the Prevention of Crime and Disorder. So do you have any data there that to show that between 12 and 1 there's less, and between 1 and 2:30 there's more, which would seem to be the owner's rationale on why to have SIA security staff?
Without going too much, I think the police seem to agree with that rationale.
Any other questions? Yep.
There's still a few more conditions to clarify here. In terms of the conditions that you've proposed, the chairman has indicated that he would prefer challenge 25. Are you agreeable to that? The CCTV conditions are as per the Metropolitan Police conditions, yes, which is in the pack. The chairman has also indicated that he would prefer an incident log. The sort of things we would expect to see in the incident log are incidences where CCTV does not work, any refusals, any occasions where someone is refused entry as opposed to refusal of sale of alcohol. And we would expect to also see any entries relating to any incidents which give rise to concern. So, for example,
drunk people
on the terrace, etc., causing.
Yeah, we are happy with that.
And the CCTV should record for 31 days rather than 30?
Absolutely.
Okay. Turning to the terrace itself, in your submissions you mentioned that patrons will be allowed to consume their purchases up until 11 p.m. From 11 p.m, will you be happy if we condition it that it works as a smoker's lounge?
Indeed, yes, it will be.
In terms of training, your proposal is that within 2 months staff will be trained and brought up to speed with everything. That's okay. And then finally, in terms of deliveries, your suggestion is that it should, if the committee were minded to condition it, it should be deliveries between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m.
As I said, I haven't had instructions on this matter, so I leave that to the committee.
At some point, if we adjourn, will it be possible for you to get instruction on that point? So
yes,
if the committee is minded,
I could try.
I think that's all of the conditions that we've discussed. Thank you.
In terms of entry and exit, are you because there's no plans in terms of what the setup's going to be? Are you going to have double doors? Meaning you'll have 2 sets of doors for somebody to enter and exit? Obviously, I'm mindful of people leaving at 1 o'clock in the morning, so both sets of doors open at the same time with noise coming out. Well, is that in your plans?
As I said, sir, we haven't actually finalized the full layout, but it is very likely there will be a lobby protection. It's very likely, yeah, but I don't want to condition
well,
that.
you haven't put the plans out, which can be a positive, because you're still in the building stage. Then yeah, okay, we could be mindful to put that in a condition as well, so they have double doors with a lobby in it.
If I may, sir, I mean, obviously, it's likely that we are going to come back with a plan for minor variation, and at that time that could be discussed, if I may.
Whatever you put forward, we will consider, sir, with open arms. Right, we move forward now. Mr. Walker. Once again, if you toggle on, toggle off. Thank you.
Hi, Mr. Chairman. Hi, everybody. Look, I think I need a drink after that, actually. Look, we're not opposed to granting a licence to the applicant, but some of the conditions really are making us very anxious. We've got lots of concerns. I'm Briarwood. I only really canvass 2 streets. Lot nearer streets that look at Jolle Street itself with the apartments above. Yeah. We've got so many issues, noise, antisocial, and we just feel that this is going to exacerbate it. We've had the police, just a few days ago, dropping these circulars in Briarwood and locals. They're asking us, appealing to us for vigilance and assistance because of the drug issues, what's going on around the KFC, around Briarwood, Space Corner, and whilst we've got to take their word for...
Sorry, have you got copies of that?
You can do what you like. This,
so we'll get copies made.
This
we can give to everybody.
On it, they mentioned Briarwood, Ferndown, and I think it's Oakdale. So they would have done those 3 streets at least. So there are issues there. We don't want to make them. We really don't want to make them worse. But having said that, many of the residents, I'm sure, would like a pub. Not at the hours that have been suggested or put to us. That's just not going to help us. And I'm confused, like the councillors referenced the traditional pub, stroke gastro pub. In his submission some time back, the applicant said that from his Namaste Lounge days, that the residents were so helpful and supported him that he would be absolutely delighted to run a traditional pub for them as some sort of payback. And we got to welcome this, but I'm not sure that the gastro pub, which is a high-end food pub, let's be honest, that's what it is. So we're concerned about that. Also, we're not happy that the police have withdrawn this door supervisor situation. Initially, on the initial application, admittedly he was wanted it till 2 o'clock. They suggested 4 door supervisors. Then it went to 2. These door supervisors on here, I think it's page 6. They start at 8:30, not 11 o'clock. We would insist that they are there. We've got enough issues going on in the street. We really have. We've got to make it as safe as we can for all of us. What else? They say that possible discos. Is this building going to be soundproofed? It's an old building. I've spent many an hour in it when it was at Witherspoons. It's an old building. Is a soundproof going to be there? Every time a door's going to open and close, and going onto the terrace, it's easy. And I've been there myself. When you're out there and you're having a few drinks, it's gone 11. If these door supervisors are not there, the poor old staff will not get these guys to move. Please leave. It's not as easy as that. And as where we'll get the door supervisors from, because they've got the Namaste Lounge and the locker room, I think they'll they'll walkies between the 3 and they'll just do it that way. And there are issues from the Namaste Lounge as it stands. I know, but people on that side, they can, even people in Ferndown say they can hear the disco music on a Saturday night. But this, we're just not happy about the conditions, and we've got to, we've just got to put. We want a traditional pub, yes, but I mean, if you're asking me what hours would we like, we'd say 12 o'clock Friday and Saturday, and 11 o'clock Sunday to Thursday. But also to actually go for a Thursday prior to Good Friday at 1 o'clock, and to go for Sundays prior to bank holidays, we just think that's no considerations for the residents at all. So we can hit it with a lot of things, but we hope that, and if they did consider the residents, surely they wouldn't have put in for 2 o'clock straight away, would they? Would you do that if you're considering the residents in the community and and we've supported his Namaste Lounge, and he wants to throw something back. And don't forget, our old pub was an asset of the community. That's what we want. people are coming from outside, but let's give the local residents a feel. You know, let's make it a community pub. I'm sure there's quite a few other things about that, but we'll have some final remarks, I'm sure, later.
There, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Some clarifications, some questions. Right, this, I think it'd be an idea to just get this photocopied, if you were to get photocopies, please, because I think... When was this actually delivered to your... Because there's no date on the actual letter.
One of the local Safe Neighbourhood team was walking there. I would say, I'm guessing probably 8 days ago. So he would have done... Because they did a little bit on the high street. They had a little bit of a clinic, come and meet the police, and it was almost like the next day he was, and he would have done, because it's mentioned Briarwood, Ferndown. You know, the issues are there. It's evident they're there. You know, and I always say we've got enough. We don't want to make it worse.
And has any of these? Sorry, could you just toggle off, sir? Has any of these concerns been raised with the council in terms of through their website or with local councillors?
Yeah, apparently the local councillors know of these issues, and I think Councillor Retta has chased this for quite some time. Now, the Northwood Hills Residents Association...
I don't recognise... I think Councillor Retta was quite a few years...
Sorry, yeah. But he still, let's say, brings it to their attention. We went to a Northwood Hills Residents Association meeting with Jonathan Bianco was there, and we put our concerns forward. But when it looked for representation in the one of the process of this thing, there was no representation from the councillors in Northwood Hills, which I thought was a little bit strange. You know, one way or the other.
In terms of traffic issues, you mentioned in your petition details traffic. Could you just expand a bit on what do you mean by traffic issues?
Well, basically, and it's not late on at night, but it's probably early evening. They just double park, double yellow lines, and then they come in. I call it the strip. The strip's quite busy for restaurants and whatever, and they come in and they don't want to go and park in supposedly Argyle House or anywhere. They just come and park wherever they can. Windsor Close near Fairfield Hall. They park wherever they can, and they don't want too far to walk. And
because the licence is particularly 11 p.m. onwards. So yeah, okay, I get that. Any questions?
And sorry, forgive me. And also, it's when they're leaving. You know, when they come out, they just get to the car. Obviously, they turn the key, and the radio's blasting away, and so it is a big issue.
Any questions, councillors? Thank you, Councillor Allen.
Clearly, you've got problems there, but do you ever call the council to complain about the noise?
Can I answer that?
No, it has to be.
Sorry, we have my wife works shifts, so she's in late, but I do occasionally, and this lady's a street champion, and she's brought it up with councillors before, yeah.
No, not with councillors. Have you brought it up with the council?
I've only brought it up sometime back when there was a party going on fairly local, and the noise was like that. But that's not like a group drug gang issue.
It's not my duty here to defend councillors, but unless you tell the council and the council have some report, and that's where you make it.
Absolutely.
So if you haven't been reporting it, it's going unreported, and therefore your councillors can't do anything.
Well, I can assure you this has been going on for some time, and it has been reported.
Some time. How many?
Well, the last email I looked at, all right, it was probably January 18, where gangs and what they call it, is it public space orders? Some of those were issued or something, but they got broken or whatever. So it has been PSPA or something, a public space protection order or something. Yeah, I saw that in the email.
And can I ask, when you go along to your safer neighbourhood meetings with your police, I presume one of you's a rep, Does this issue ever come up?
Sorry, forgive us. No, we're just basically local residents that occasionally get involved with the residents' association and such matters that might be a topic to us. But no, none of us are reps of any sort.
Thank you. Any other questions or clarifications? No? We move on to the discussion stage.
Is your name to ask Mr. Shankar first if he has any comments on this? Mr. Shankar.
Yeah, Mr. Shankar, just since we've all got this left just now, have you had time to read it and digest it? Would you like to have any comments on that, sir? Here's a general discussion case, so you can do.
I mean, there are general issues of general drug dealing in near their street and things like that, and there are two other premises near they are pulling up. I really don't see any relevance to our application this.
So could you just, are you okay with this? And have you got any comments on it, sir? That's what I was asking.
I don't think this has any relevance to our application.
Okay, because here it is showing that there are antisocial behaviour currently, and the concern of the residents obviously was that it would increase should another establishment be open. So the question I would ask is, how would you then manage this prevention of public nuisance, crime and disorder?
So it is very clearly the initial say this is about youngsters hanging out, doing antisocial behaviour in the corner of near KFC and some other couple of premises. Our clientele is definitely not these people. We are not aiming our premises to be attract youngsters or who are into antisocial behaviour. So, and none of our clients we would expect to be included in this type of behaviour at all. So that's why I said that these are areas, these are happening everywhere. It's nothing to, our premises is not going to be any way involved in any of these things.
The reason why I ask is obviously, in your application, you have safeguarding, should we say, how you're going to prevent certain things happening, one being crime and disorder. So it's the concern of residents, and they can be considered valid concerns because they are concerned. That's why they've turned up to ask these questions from a responsible applicant. What are you going to physically do? As you have offered some conditions which are good. In terms of discussion with the police, you've also asked that you would like to remove the condition relating to last entry. Could you tell me a bit more about this and why?
The last entry of 2300, we thought it is, nowadays even families go to restaurants quite late. Sometimes their friends and relatives who are joining them are unable to make in time and things like that, and this actually put an unnecessary burden on us. And the main reason for these last entry conditions are generally imposed by generally required by the police is to stop people who have already been, in their word, tanked up, that is, they have already been drinking up in other venues, to come into other premises. And as I say, we will have a very strict door policy, sir, who is coming in. And if there is any at all, any drunkenness, any people who have already been to other premises, they will not be able to be allowed in. And also now we have cut down the hours to midnight on weekdays. There is no point people coming after 11 o'clock to our premises. And on a Friday and Saturday, now that we have agreed for door supervisors as well, there will be even more stricter control at the doors.
Because obviously the police have not agreed to your condition to remove last entry. That's why I asked the question, because the police haven't. If you look on your addendum sheet, page 2 of 2. Paragraph 4. It does say, mention the CCTV conditions. In light of removal of the regulated area, there was an agreement sort of removing door supervisor and have him do the busy periods, but there's nothing there that would say to last entry. So last entry would still stand.
Councillors, just about something else I would like to.
Yeah, that's what they would like.
Yeah.
But the
Let's
police.
do the message.
Yeah. No, that's what they would like. That's what they would like. But the police response is the fourth paragraph down.
If I may say, if I take you to page 47 on your main agenda papers, where the council officer asking the police whether are they happy with the amendments, and there is one line, yes, good to go.
Yeah, that's right, and that's why we have an addendum sheet, which then has further information should it come forward after the report has been presented. So that's why we have an addendum sheet. Should other factors come out after the report has been printed, then this will be submitted as part of the application. So yeah, I do understand where the police have said, yes, good to go, but my question always will be, what does that mean, good to go? So this is where we've had clarification from the police.
I would assume that good to go is they are happy with our amended conditions, and there was.
Well, you assume wrong, sir. Councillor Allen.
I'm aware in Hayes we have a thing called Pub Watch, where all the managers get together with the police to end the unsavoury characters. Would your pub be willing to be part of any group?
Absolutely, Chair. Absolutely, Chair. Councillor.
Mr. Dormer, question. Do we have any evidence of ASB reporting, any MEs from members, anything online from the council? Do we have anything from the ASBIT team? Do we have any recorded traffic issues, noise, litter issues? I know there's quite a few questions, but...
That's a negative on all of those, Councillor.
Short and sweet, wasn't it? Yeah, thank you. Members, any questions to anybody else? Right. Okay, we now move into closing remarks from each party. Now it works the other way around. I've got to make sure I do it correctly. So it goes reverse. So the applicants get started. So Mr. Walker first.
Yeah, just very quickly on the drivers for deliveries. Will the drivers that be parking on the pavement in probably Ferndown because it's narrow? Will they have their engines running, and is it possible damage to the pavements? Sorry, that might be directed at you.
Okay, they will have to abide by the parking restrictions and traffic orders, so they couldn't breach them.
It seems that doesn't get done, actually. That might be one we have to watch out for. I don't. Yeah, I think I've already said that it is a food-led organisation, which was in Steve's document to me earlier. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Yeah, so reference the drug issue. It's not just young kids that are taking drugs. They were in the Northwood Hills. I'm sure they're in the Namaste Lounge in the locker room. As far as the pub watch, I mean, they're going to be the three pubs on the strip. You know, it's the one chap who's running them all. So they're going to be in and around. So what we petitioners are urging the licensee committee is to approach this application with proper caution and due consideration for those in the immediate area, where peace and tranquility is already under threat, as witnessed by the police appeal. We feel the strict controls are required, and licensing hours should indeed be consistent with those of a traditional pub. And please, when you consider your decision, I hope we can be confident that, as the council leader asserted in the June issue of Hillingdon people that we will continue to put our residents at the heart of everything we do. And just one quick, who's going to monitor the drinkers and smokers after 11 o'clock? And it did say, I think I mentioned that earlier, the security door people were down on the document to start at 20:30 on our initial application here, not 11 o'clock. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you for that. The police are next. Mr. Dawn.
I've got nothing further to add, Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Shanker. Chief Shanker, sorry.
Thank you, sir. Just one couple of clarifications. Then the police's witness statement in the addendum. I think I can see where the confusion coming from regarding the 2,300 hours last entry. But the way the police officer has set this out is the police officer has written what the condition they asked in the past. That is, my conditions were. See, they say the conditions I requested were, and the 2,300 is in there. And when you come to the second page in the penultimate paragraph where they say after the amendments, they have allowed the amendments to go.
You should tell me those page numbers again so I can go through it.
It's on the addendum document.
So which are you talking about? The addendum sheet now?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
So because in the statement, instead of just dealing with the amended application, the police officer tried to be helpful and given their initial position and how they have changed. And they have changed to accept the amendments that we have suggested, and thereby they have allowed the 2,300 to go. That's the current police's position. Just want that to be clear. Do you still want us to find out about the delivery timings, get some instructions?
I think that is a relevant concern from the residents and from myself. It'd be good to have that, so if we condition it, it will be, should you get the license, of course, it would be good to have some sort of ballpark figure that we can work off. So okay, I'm happy after you finish, make sure if you can go and get the information, and while we're doing our